Okay, let's start from the beginning. So we practice permaculture in the sense that we follow a design that I completed, but I say completed it in 2019, but it's been evolving. I had it in my head long before that, 2013 when we bought the property, and it's been evolving and changing ever, since I put it on paper, right? And planted the first plant and you realize not there. So it's all an evolution. Design always is, because it's on paper and then you've got the real life. So that's permaculture. Also for following the ethics. Care of earth, care of people, and I like to say limit growth, which isn't really talked about because it starts looking like China and the one child rule, but it just means humans have a carrying capacity. The earth and our environment has a carrying capacity. And humans, certain humans, modernity, exceed it. And so how do you not exceed it? You limit your growth. You limit your intake. You limit your resource use per person. So that's a quick nutshell of permaculture. What I'm going into now is actually biodynamics. It's a philosophy that was pretty much created and evolved starting 1920s by Rudolf Steiner. And some of the premises are this, and I love these because they support permaculture values, they support other philosophies I have. But the number one thing is that your farm is a living entity. So as Gaia theory by James Lovelock, Earth is a living entity. She self-regulates just like a living entity. There are many organisms out there that we say are alive and they don't necessarily do the typical living things, but if they are self-regulating, right, then we kind of put this in the class of living. So if the farm is living, I like to think about it, and this is kind of parallel biodynamics, as a body. You have circulation, movement of important materials. You have the brain, right? Controlling all of this. You have respiratory, right? The intake and the extake, coming in, coming out, the exchange from outside the boundaries of the organism. And I really have taken all those factors into account in some way, shape, or form in designing. So that's one side of biodynamics. And this is all about growing food, right? That's biodynamic agriculture. Agriculture is culturing, the growing and the cultivating of products for food in our case, or medicine, or clothing, right? So the next one is that the seeds and whatever it is you're growing they are not independent of their environment. And one of the biggest environmental factors is going to be like the moon cycles, right? The moon is directly linked to water. You will see that when there is a storm coming, the majority of women who are going to give birth are going to give birth. And it happened to me always the night of the birth. It was like big storms came. You'll also see tides. That's the obvious one. What it translates to in biodynamics is when you are trying to get water into whatever it is that you're trying to either sprout or grow, do it according to the moon. So for example, certain plants, basically all of your typical ones that fruit, not so much your tubers, not so much your herbs, but all the ones that are going to fruit. So that's your tomatoes, anything that's going to have something off of it that you eat. That's not a leaf. That's a fruiting vegetable. I soak the seeds 3 days before the full moon because that imbibing of water actually, and this is basic, but it's so important, it swells the seed such that, and they called it a seed coat. The seed coat bursts. And it's with that bursting of the seed coat that the radicle, which is like the root, goes down, the shoot comes up. I know that sounds pretty basic, but I think it's good to understand that you're physically moving water, encouraging water to move. I have seen over and over again, almost like in the season of growing, month after month, if I'm following this, I get way better germination, right?
Really?
Germination rates. Yeah, absolutely. Especially for older seed. I've sprouted and also the soil helps too, but I've sprouted like 10-year-old seed that I had from an internship in like worm castings. And that's the next part of it, water, but also soil for getting back to biodynamics. The soil is like an organism, and it truly trillions of microorganisms in one handful of soil, healthy soil. So as soon as we come and do whatever we will do to that soil, we are now changing the ecology of that soil, whether it's compressing, whether it's adding a chemical, whether it's even supplementing with well water, which is high in salts and potentially phosphates. We are changing the chemistry of the soil. So in biodynamics, it's really important that we keep the health and wellness of the soil as high as possible. I mean, they're hyper-focused. How do we do that?
Well, let me just say, as a former teacher of American literature, decade after decade of all the healthy things it needed, they wrought the whirlwind. I mean, they reaped the whirlwind, rather.
Right, exactly. And it was the tillage, which means like you've got these big wheels that create a impermeable adobe layer, which they call hard pan. And the hard pan kept going up and up and up and got to the point where the roots couldn't penetrate it and all the crops failed. So how do you make the best possible soil amendment compost? How do you do it? Well, their theory was this. Do you know how we treat the body homeopathically? You don't look at the symptom. Oh, you're coughing. Uh-oh, got to get rid of the cough. Give that person a cough suppressant. No. The body is coughing for a reason. The body is always trying to get you over whatever it is that's dysregulated in your chi. And I know we can't measure chi by science, but okay, thousands of years say we have an energy resonance. Like you could be kissing and hugging on someone with the flu, but if you're at tip-top shape, like, okay, I was just next to Ashin. He got over the flu 2 days ago. I was breathing all his, but I'm in my energy resonance is awesome. But have you ever noticed on a weekend or after finals, that's when you're going to get your sickest because your body's finally like, oh, I get a chance to break. And it says, I need to go through the sickness process because it's the sickness process that makes the antibiotics, that gets me up and over hills, or in Ashin's case, forces me to slow down. Because he was burning the candle at both ends for a few nights there, all last week. So if you think about that sense, let's say a soil is sick, or let's say we're just trying to optimize soil health. Well, we're going to treat that soil, and I love this, but we're going to treat it homeopathically with herbs. And those are the amendments that biodynamic practitioners use to basically inoculate their compost piles. Certain ones, chamomile, nettle, there's a whole kind of law, actually there's 7 exact ones. Each one brings to the party a different possible lacking, right? So if you know your compost might be deficient in something, then I'm going to have equisetum inoculated into that soil. So think of all the microorganisms, and they sense this equisetum silica. Well, maybe it's possible they're going to start making more silica as a response.
What is equisetum? Sorry?
Equisetum, it's just basically it's a kind of an ancient plant. It's it looks like
bamboo.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was saying the scientific name. Yeah, sorry.
No, equistasia.
Yeah, he took botany. Nice. So yeah, horsetail. And so that's one of the classic ones, yarrow, chamomile. There's multiple ones. So we did that with that pile over there. We were supposed to turn it. I did not turn that one, so you saw it in kind of a mid stage. But you guys were seeing some pretty rich soil, right? I'm thinking. Another thing is that
So say the other.
Oh,
I have chamomile, nettle.
Actually, that's one to look up. Just write BD 507 preps. 501 to 507. BD 501 to 507. I actually don't remember all of them off the top of my head. But you kind of buy them, and they make them very energetically minded, right? So they're growing all of them organic. That's another thing. Absolutely no synthetic pesticides or herbicides ever in biodynamics. The people who adopted this, that made it famous and kind of sent it out worldwide, would be Alan Chadwick. He grew the gardens for the Queen of France, and then he came to America, worked for maybe different rich people, but he ended up teaching at UC Santa Cruz and started the first college organic gardens there. His pupil group went off and did the most, have been doing the most amazing thing. If you ever hear of Pioneers, that came out of Alan Chadwick. Look up his recordings online in like the Internet Archive. Incredible, beautiful stories. He was this Shakespearean by evening and this gardener by day. And think about the balance of that. And as you possibly life choices for you guys, you're looking down a good part of your morning. And it's it could be introverted. I mean, you guys are extrovert, that's great. But think of the opposite to balance yourself. And that's why this recitation and all of that, because again, it's all about balance. You're off your balance and things start going downhill fast. So we've just rehashed. We've talked about, what's the first thing? That was biodynamic.
You talked about permaculture, then you went to biodynamics.
Right, within biodynamics. So
okay.
Farm is a living, just refreshing. Farm is a living entity. All that you do, especially with seeds and plant material, cosmically, you need to be aware of, right? What's happening. So that's the moon. One of the biggest things is the moon phases. And then third is going to be soils and what we do with our compost, making compost. Those are the primary three things. Again, you can look up biodynamics all across the board. Now, how that affects horticulture, right, ties directly in to, again, soaking our seeds. That's number one. So I put some different kinds of seeds out, right? Every plant is its own person, in my mind, much more unique than any human, because they have very different needs. Very different needs. I'm just going to throw a couple crazy things out there. Like, for example, lettuce has to have full light to germinate, okay? You couldn't germinate any vegetable seed with full light. It would dry out and that's it. So those are some of the things. Other things, depth. If you plant a seed that's this big right at the surface, again, you're throwing it completely off. That's not going to make it. So 1.5 times the diameter of the seed usually is the standard rule for the depth. 1.5 times whatever that diameter is, that's how much you put it down under the surface of the soil. Sizes of seeds differ. Time of germination. Carrots would be like 2 weeks, whereas I've had peas in 2 days, right? Mm-hmm. And that's definitely with the soaking. So all those things you take into account. And then, of course, you saw the materials within that we are putting, like the mixes that we're planting them into. So we start with a soaking, then we create a seed mix. It's pretty basic. The one thing that you can notice here, it doesn't have any fertility, because a seed doesn't need fertility. And this is the same story I tell all my elementary kids. Mm-hmm. And I might have told you guys 3 W's for sprouting a seed. Triple dub. Write it down, Miss Ashley. All right. She's more interested in hearing than writing. Water, warmth, and watch. Because the water, again, I just talked about it, bursting out of the seed coat. Warmth, it's not going to be doing anything aerobically if it's not warm. Okay, it's stagnant. That's its cue, the heat. Third, if you don't see that seed has sprouted, you're not going to bring it to light. You're not going to give it air movement, right? Or acclimate it. So you can't just leave a seed once you sprout. I've actually forgotten about that. And you come down, they are yellow. They are either reaching so high, they put all their energy into gaining height because the light's way over there. You have now completely messed up the energetic level of that seed plant. So watch. When they...
wait a minute.
Yeah, shoot.
You're watching them... And
when they germinate.
In order to intervene in some way?
Yes, and there's the next topic. Once they have, and this is the cue, the 2 first leaves, the cotyledons, right? That is your open, not closed. Austin knows I've rushed it. He's like, Mama, they're not open yet, right? The 2 first leaves, if they still have the seed coat hanging off of them, don't ever remove that seed coat. You're Yeah, it's satisfying, but it's not good for the plants. But once they have the two first leaves, then they need light. Photosynthesis produces what? Sugar.
Oh, serious.
Yeah. Everybody exhale. You are now feeding the plants. Inhale. The plants are now feeding you. We are in a symbiotic relationship with the plant world. And this is what I hope everybody takes this really to heart. They're gone, we're gone. Okay? It's that direct. So why ever create massive destruction of our plant world? I don't know. But anyway, so as soon as you see leaves, chloroplasts, green, photosynthesize light. Okay, that's instant because those sugars promote the growth. They also do something super cool. They allow the plant to trade with the fungi. The fungi are able to digest minerals from rock using chemicals, mycelium, little white fingers of the adult fungi. Mushrooms are the children of the mycelium adults. Digest, send it through their mycelium pathways to the root. Mycelium trades minerals for sugar because fungi can't make sugar and they need it to grow. Lovely, beautiful symbiosis. All right, so we need to change to more fertility, right? Because they need all the macro and micronutrients now as well to grow leaves and all of their metabolic processes. That's what I was trying to think before. So peat moss, it's not sustainable, okay? Unfortunately. It comes from the bogs made thousands of years ago. It's a non-renewable resource. What's the solution? Digging up lawn and taking your sod and putting grass blade to grass blade soil out here and letting it compost. That is another option for replacing because you get all these root hairs degrading, and that's all this aeration because that's what peat moss is, light and fluffy, right? And then you've got the compost and the fertility inside. So that's an alternative. I am working on that. I will perfect that one day. Compost, we all know. Yeah?
I have a question as well. So for the seed mix,
yeah.
Isn't peat really high in nutrition?
No, it's really, it's broken down. It doesn't have the fertility that, yeah.
Like accessibility?
Yeah, it's more or I think it's just it's kind of like if you think of it, the cloak around, whatever it was that broke down, all that off-gassed in the bog. Pulling out the peat, that's kind of like the skeleton of whatever broke down. The wood. Right? Isn't it the petrified wood and shredded? Yeah. So compost is now what is going to be the full nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus. Those are the 3 macronutrients for plants, like many huge list of micronutrients. Manure compost, because our compost over here is broken down leaf grow. That is highly composted. There's leaf mold, which is just shredded leaves. Arlington County gives that away for free. I think Carroll County sells it. But here in Montgomery County, they do things all out. And they basically push it all the way through by turning it in huge, massive windrows, like 20 minutes from here, into compost. So, but it's not animal-based compost, which has a lot of other micronutrients, I believe. So I supplement. Perlite, this is again mined. It's a really lightweight rock, so water doesn't just sit and hold against the roots, which will rot them. It allows more aeration. Baby roots are going to especially need this. Vermiculite, same thing. Tiny, mined, crushed rock. You can crush it down. I'll have some in the basement to show you. Green sand. This is again a stone. Many micronutrients. Green sand. Oyster shell, calcium. That's the main one. But so these are kind of, you can mix around. Some people use blood meal, bone meal. Like I said, these are, I feel like, they're not the absolute zero embodied energy, which means how much carbon went into making it, pretty much. But they're the best I can do right now.
Where can you get
a lot of these materials?
Farm,
yeah, sure. Yeah. So okay, your big box stores will have them, but I get them in the bigger bags because I know. They don't go bad. None of this goes bad. So I just buy the 2 cubic foot bags from the Farm and Home in Poolsville, right there on River Road.
You're talking about the tractor.
Not Tractor Supply, which is in Poolsville, but before Poolsville on River Road, so go left. Okay. It's called Farm and Home. Okay. Farm and Home. And it's owned by the Pools sisters, who are an incredibly awesome character. Poolsville, their lineage goes way back, and they always have very interesting conversations when I go in there. All right, so these are the two mixes that we go in between. Again, spreading the seed, and I'll kind of do a demo, actually. You know what? I can do it right here. I'll pretend, and everybody can do a little try, because I have to open this up anyway. Everything about, from here on out, everything is going to be hands-on, guys, and I don't want to take too much of your afternoon away from you, but we are going to have to. And then we're going to go down and do some. So the first step, okay, soaking, really simple. Ashan's done it many, many times for me when I was had my surgery. You dump the seeds into the water. You can also add a teeny tiny bit of chamomile tea, because that prevents the rot from forming at the base of the stem. Sometimes if it's super humid out, by inoculating with the chamomile, that solves the problem. I don't have that problem very often, but if I think it's like a difficult sprout, I'll add a little bit of chamomile flowers or a little chamomile tea. Okay, so that's the
Bridget,
soaking.
could that be dried?
Sorry?
Could that be dried?
No,
I'm talking about if you added chamomile.
Yes.
That would still be effective?
Yes, I think only a pinch of dried chamomile, or like a teaspoon of tea. Depends on your soaking water.
So you soak all of the seeds that you plant, like even, not just fruit seeds, but like if you wanted to grow flowers, or if you wanted to grow whatever, would you soak those?
Yeah, can't remember the last time I planted a non-soaked seed. Because it's just got such better germination. I don't have to worry about keeping it watered so much.
Okay, I have one other question, and then I won't.
No, keep asking. Keep asking.
You know that I bought this Canadian little above ground planter, and it has a reservoir at the bottom, right?
Yes.
So you can pour some water through this little tube thing, and it goes down in the reservoir. Is that going to rot the roots?
No, I don't think so. Because your roots will find it, but they won't. If they're not able to handle like pure water in there, they'll just kind of be on the surface, so the water will go up through the soil, and they'll get the water from the soil, which dries out. I don't think it will.
So you don't anticipate?
No, the one thing that happens
is chamomile in there first.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. It all depends. I mean, you'll see plant roots growing in a lot of water, and then maybe. Yeah, but I think they know how to taper off. Like, for example, I'll show you a tray.
It's designed too. It's like a plastic thing
it rolls
that has all these holes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Tons and tons and tons of little holes punched in. And then there are little places where it looks like you would put the plant a little bit further down in it. Right? And then
fill it in.
So you don't think it's going to be a problem?
I don't think so. Okay. No. So how I seed, and everybody's going to open a packet, so you can open your own packet. But how you seed your trays, I don't actually have the trays, but pretend like this is our tray, okay? Yeah. So, thanks. Even though they're wet, you're still going to be able to get some form of spreading. Ashan, what did you do in the high tunnel when you planted about 20,000 seeds in February when you had wet seeds, direct seeding?
Oh, that was just
your trick.
It's much easier when they're wet.
Because how did you do it? Yeah, we didn't wet these, but I'm not going to plant them right now.
Because if you take them like this, you get them.
Okay, he did a physical manipulation through. I tend to do this. If I have my little cup of wet seeds, I dip my fingers in and I flick. It won't work super now, and we can scoop these back up. You guys can try. This is the little teeny tiny version of what the ancestral farmer did. Broadcasting. They did not have these dig-in, big, huge plow truck on tractors. They literally broadcasted like this. Then they may have broadcasted like hay over that. But I have a picture of this 1920s guy walking through his field, and I have done that for all my cover crops. And then we take these big, long rakes, leaf rakes, just the little skinnies, right? Not the big garden rake, but the leaf rake, and just walk back and forth, and we get a massive cover crop. Yeah, it's very cool. All right, so if you want to if you haven't done it, I'm going to bring it down your way. And you guys want to grab more? See, just practice, and then show yourself. Go ahead, you can grab this up. Everybody get a corner. There's 4 of you. So you guys, this is your bed, so grab up like someone from the middle, and spread them out, and see how uniform. Test yourselves. So we now have our understanding of soaking our seeds, right? Imbibing water. We have our understanding of seeds don't need fertility, but actually what they do need, and I didn't mention this, once they sprout, they need friends. This is Alan Chadwick saying the two leaves, put your hand out, Sylvan, the two leaves touching like this is actually beneficial for their growth. They almost are like protected, comfortable, keep going, in and out, in and out, in and out, and they do better than a single seed. And a lot of commercial farmers will do this, market gardeners, single seed in a single well. And they're like, Bridget, why do you do this whole extra step of putting them all together and letting them grow up as one tribe of like a crop? I'm like, because they're happier that way, they're healthier. And I'm not taking a single seed and putting it in each one. But you will see, we're about to go down to the basement, you will see the labor involved in taking those seedlings from their non-fertile seed starting trays and putting them into their fertile, I call these transplant trays or potting soil. Okay, so that's where the intensity, that's where the labor intensive time comes in. But again, I feel like it's worth it. You're doing the right thing at the right time in the life cycle of the plant, which is to me the most important.